All right, folks, this is Sheriff Lamb. We're here with the PCSO Podcast, where we talk about everything Pinal County. We talk about businesses in Pinal County, politicians in Pinal County, and primarily we focus on law enforcement in Pinal County. I've got my co-host, Navita. She's our public information officer. And we are very happy today to have a couple cool guests. We've got Gina and we've got Nick from Extract. So tell us a little bit about the business Extract.
I was formerly in a cosmetic company for about 20 years. Was starting to get a little bored with that, decided to expand my horizons and learn permanent
Now,
makeup.
I heard you say it was Mary Kay.
Yes.
So how many cars did you have?
I had 13.
13
yes,
cars?
I had 13 free cars. So I drove free pretty much for 20 years.
Which was the best car?
The pink Cadillac, of course.
Okay.
And at times I took the money instead of the car. My husband's in the car business, so I got some pretty nice cars, and they would give me the payment for that. And it was amazing. I grew a lot in that company, which really led me into doing permanent makeup. It was just something in the same field. It was something different. Learned permanent makeup, start doing that, and was up in North Scottsdale. And the salon owner one day said, "Hey, Gina, there's this new removal process. It's non-laser. Come check it out." And I said, "Okay." So I went with her, and I saw this procedure and thought, I can do this. So flew off to Vegas a few weeks later, got trained in it, and just thought this was another service, added income, helping people. And all these stories start coming in, whether it was a woman that was abused or someone that was divorced and had her husband's name on. And as these stories start coming in, I talked to my sister one day. I was telling her of these stories, and she said, "Have you ever thought about doing removal of brandings on sex trafficked victims?" And I said, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know that was a thing." So long story short, that became a thing for me. I start researching it, start getting into a lot of the charities and organizations here in Arizona.
Before you get started on the charity, because we're going to talk about the charity, but let's talk to Nick for a second. Okay. So how do you come into play in Extract, and how did you get to know Gina?
Okay, so I was tattooing. My brother-in-law trained me. He's rated #1 in the nation for Polynesian art, and after I had got out of prison, I wanted to pursue full-time tattooing. So I started my own shop, and I was looking for 7 forms of income. And my wife was like, "Oh, you should get certified permanent cosmetics." And I'm like, "Oh, that's women stuff, But
so 7 forms of income. Now, yeah. I know about this. So all millionaires have 7 forms of income, right? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. So this is one of the forms of income.
Yeah. So tattooing, and then I was thinking all right, I got to do it just to have another one under my belt, right? So I met up with this lady Helen, right? Yes. That's enough. And I went to Scottsdale to get certified. That's when I met Gina. And Gina started telling me about this tattoo removal process. Well, I was I was going to do a cover up on my wife because she had her name on her arm. She got it when she was real young, And they did a removal on her that day as a model. And I was really impressed with how much came out. So I was like, you know what? And then you had contacted me, 3 months later or
right.
something? And she was asking me if I would be interested in doing this. And I really was, but I was so busy at the time. And once we connected, she came down, I got trained, everything with Tina.
Right.
And I was just really impressed at the whole process and the fact that they came down and I was taught it wasn't just some online or box that they sent with a sheet or anything like that. So I learned a lot. And then that's when she started asking me if I would want to be a trainer, and I was like, sure, I'd love to do this.
And he's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's how we connected with that, and even at that time, it just worked out because I was doing ministry with my wife. We had a 501c3. It's called Spoken Arts, and we were hosting poetry events across Tucson, but they're Christian based, and I got this charity called Soul No More got a hold of me and asked if I would do a cover up on this traffic victim. And I was like, sure, as long as somebody's around, so nothing, nobody could say anything, just keep everybody safe. And so she came out, and during that time, I listening to her story and everything that she had been through while I was trying to figure out how to cover up the tattoo on her. It was very emotional. And so I was drawing on her, and she was talking, and she was crying, and what had happened was she had a branding. She went to a garage, they tried to cover it up, and they really just damaged her skin. it was just bad. And then she went to a tattoo shop and they tried to cover that with like a huge black star. And like the skin was
Just got
so
worse and worse.
yeah. And by the time she got to me, I'm like, oh man, like what do I do? You know, like what do I do? And like I do a lot of dainty stuff. Like 86% of my clientele is female. So I'm constantly looking at how to make it look more like
More female,
yeah,
more feminine.
just more more dainty. Yeah. So I started drawing on her, and I did like a forest, you know, around her tattoo and whatnot, and she was super emotional, crying a lot, and like she was just so happy, you know, like she was so happy. But when she left, I wasn't, because it looked so masculine, you know, and just because I had to do that huge cover up. But like after that, I realized, you know what, like at this point, tattoo removal and doing something else would be like so great, another form of income as well, you know. So I linked up and she shared her heart with me on how she was doing. I was just super interested at the time, and that's how we got connected.
So you transitioned Extract, you have the business, and then you set up Soul Survivors. How easy was that to get started?
Well, so when we were doing the tattoo removal, we knew that we needed a better process and better products, and that's actually how Extract came about. Because I was with a couple other companies prior to that. So with Soul Survivor, I was doing this all along, but again, I wasn't seeing as good as result as we would want. These women and these folks, you know, in prison have been through enough that we wanted it to be a quicker process with less treatments. So we came up with Extract almost 2 years ago. And then Soul Survivor, we just became a 501c a little over a year ago. Although we've been doing this for over 4 or 5 years, we did become a 501c because it's grown so much, and we had to be legit, and we had to.
Well, and it's clear, both of you can see your passion for wanting to help people and wanting to help them. I mean, we talked a little bit about this earlier when we were just sitting down and chatting about how getting tattoos for many people is an emotional thing. Sometimes they're hiding something. Sometimes they want to reveal a part of themselves to other people. So there's so much emotional that goes into a tattoo. Being able to remove something that is a negative emotion for you, that's got to be a kind of a cool experience for you guys to be able to help people do that.
Yeah, it definitely is. And for me, like I specialize in Polynesian tattoos. Every symbol.
So, do you do the
No,
old
not
bone
that.
and the tapping? Because that's the legitimate.
Yeah, no, I don't use that. I use regular machines. That process.
Now, are you Polynesian?
I have Polynesian family.
Okay.
I'm a huge mutt, so.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. Right.
Now, when we first met, you told me about a woman who had been branded that came, and just having that removed from her was almost like closure. Talk to me about her story.
It's huge. So a lot of these girls, they get sold numerous times, and pimps will brand as a form of ownership. So I'm yours. So he'll have 4 or 5 girls with the same branding. Some of the girls will say it physically hurts. Like sometimes they're on their wrist, sometimes they're over their heart, on their back, that they can be anywhere, but they say it physically hurts to see it because that's a reminder of that person that did this to them. And when it's removed, it's like this weight is lifted. There's so much healing to that. They don't have to look in the mirror and see this man or this code or symbol ever again. So it's extremely healing.
So if we have somebody out there listening today that saying they fall into this, they want to have a tattoo removed, especially if they are a victim of a survivor of sex trafficking or human trafficking, how can they go about this? They can contact Extract, obviously. What's the average cost for that?
Well, Soul Survivor, we have a nonprofit, so and there's a form that they would fill out, and often it's free for the survivors. And aside that, it just depends on the size of the tattoo. It can run from $100 to $300 per session.
Now, a lot of people are going to ask, is it painful?
It's not painless, but I'm not going to say it's painful. Most people we can get from a 1 to a 10, we can get them to a 0 to a 3. Afterwards, it's annoying. I mean, it's a wound and it's a scab and it can be itchy and annoying. And it's not painless, but it's fine. It's so much better than laser, I can tell you that. Laser is a whole different beast.
Now, can you take a tattoo off in one treatment, or how many treatments does it usually take?
Average is 3 to 6. I've seen it in one, but that's not typical. And I've also seen it take 8 to 10.
Yeah, and it all depends on like how old the tattoo, how thick it is, and the cover-ups and whatnot, how damaged the skin is also, because we have to take all that into consideration during the procedure.
And we talked a little bit about what they used for the ink as well. Some of these prison tattoos, they're using whatever they can get their hands on to create ink.
Yeah.
And so some of that may not be removed as easy as
Correct.
well, right?
Yes.
So does it leave a pretty good scar on there?
There's a risk of scarring, but we have a fantastic aftercare, and we have virtually in the last 18 months have not had any scarring. But it is a risk. It depends on the person's skin type. If they're darker skin, they're more likely to scar. So we know that going into it, and we're very cautious, and we tell them how to take care of it.
Now, for those who aren't a victim or a survivor, but they have bad memories that they want to be removed, they can come to Extract. Do you have offices all over Arizona?
We do. We have 4 or 5, different facilities in Arizona.
Okay.
Yep.
So where are some of those offices?
Okay, we have Phoenix, of course, Tucson with Nick. We have Tempe, Scottsdale, Surprise, and Gilbert are the areas we have
So
right
for
now.
you guys out there who got your girlfriend's name tattoo on you and
Right.
you're no longer with you or your wife,
Correct.
Extract can help you get rid of that.
It's all natural.
Or vice versa. Girls out there that want to get rid of a guy's name.
And for the ones that we can't necessarily remove completely, because sometimes there is that occasion, is they can do a cover up. It's light enough where, like Nick was just explaining, he's got to go dark and black and big and bold to cover up an old tattoo. We can get it light enough where it can be green and red and pretty colors. So that's also a pro. That's a good thing.
So I'm super excited about this. We just finished a meeting with the county attorney's office and obviously the sheriff about partnering with you to help some of our juvenile victims that have been trafficked in our jails. So Sheriff, you want to talk about what we're going to be doing in our facility?
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. We just talked about it, but we're excited because I think this is a good program. When I became sheriff, I realized there was a need to not just house these inmates. At first when I came in, I was kind of like, hey, let's give them bread and water and lock them up 23 hours a day. I quickly realized that I have a responsibility to return these people to the community and give them the best opportunity to be successful as possible. So I'm always looking for programs, and I loved when we sat down today. I think this is going to be a great program. But our idea is to have the inmates be able to sign up and bring you into our facility and start to remove some of these tattoos for some of these inmates. We talked a lot about it. When they're in the facility, that's their lowest time usually. And they're usually off the drugs, and it's an opportunity for them to reevaluate and decide, oh, you know what? I don't want to be part of this anymore. It's hard to catch them once they leave the facility. So I'm excited to try to get something put in place with you to be able to remove tattoos while they're in our facility.
Us too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good.
We've seen it because we have done prison and ex-gang removals outside of prison. And like we were explaining, I was telling you in the meeting that the one gentleman, amazing man, he can't be found. It wasn't the right time. If it was done in the prison, I believe that healing would have taken place. Then you're out and you're a new person, just like the girls that we work with, the survivors.
And it's hard to really get that follow-up once they get out of prison, or even sex trafficked victims. They might come for one session, but who knows what happens in the 6-week period.
You got to figure transportation, the cost, everything to get there. And they're here. We just come to them. It's going to be very different. We're excited.
Yeah, we're excited too.
Yeah.
We're always looking for things, like I said, to help these inmates out. We always try to stay. It's hard because a lot of these inmates that are in there, there's victims out there of their crimes as well. And so we have to be really careful as to make sure that we don't violate any victims' rights as well. But we want to make sure that these people don't go out and have more victims as well. So we don't want them going out and committing more crimes. We don't want them to fall back into the gang activity or the trafficking or the prostitution or whatever it is that is their, has been their issue. We want to help them out. I think this is going to be a great partnership.
We do too. And and me add too, I love what you said about when you became sheriff, and get him in there and get him some bread and water. And boy, does your eyes open once you're actually into the world or that group. My eyes have opened hugely when it comes to sex trafficking. You'd go down in Vegas and say, nice job. That was my thought when I would go to Vegas. When the girls hand out their flyers, I think, that's nice. Now I go there, oh my gosh, can I help you?
they're survivors.
Way
They're just
different.
trying to.
Or they're being trafficked,
Yeah.
you know, and they're not there to prostitute on their own free will. So our eyes open just like yours did. So
And for
respect
you
that
as
very
well, you were talking to me earlier about your childhood, and
Mm-hmm.
it was almost you were in the system a lot, and then being in prison. How are you able to break away? And do you think that the tattoo removal for gang members, especially, would be effective in keeping them out of the gang?
Yeah, definitely. I think really ultimately like it's gonna be up to the individual. But I think once they like start seeing like some of these memories like we were talking about earlier, like diminishing, like they'll slowly fall back into place as well. For me, like it was sheer will, you know. Obviously, like I have a religious background. Christianity is like my first thing, and that's where like it all started for me. But I grew up without that, so I think this tattoo removal and just being able to like talk to them and give them like a word of encouragement as well during the process, like. I think every inmate needs that, and a lot of them come from broken homes, and a lot of them come from like just bad backgrounds and toxic environments, and like once you give them an encouragement and they believe it and they see it and they're there and they're willing, they're off drugs and they can think clearly, like I think they'll pursue.
I think
like,
there's
this
a lot of
lifelong
people
goal.
don't realize that a lot of the people in our jail, they didn't have parents that positively reinforced them. A lot of them came from single parent homes or no parents,
Exactly.
grew up in the system.
Mm-hmm.
And, they've done the best they can to survive, and it hasn't been good.
Mm-hmm.
But they've done the best that they could do.
Right.
And we're constantly trying to, I want to get in there and do some motivational stuff for some of the inmates and just let them know that they can do this when they get out. It's going to be hard. You can do it.
I'm so down for that too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so down for that too. I think our nation is like really in need of an
They do.
encouraging word.
Our youth need mentorship. Our adults need mentorship. Life coaching has become a big thing in this country. It's because people need it.
Mm.
It's life's tough. So I think it's great that you guys are out doing what you're doing. I think it's a great business, and I think parlaying that into a 501c3 that allows you to actually help the people that can't afford it,
Mhm.
which are some of the people that need it the most.
Right.
I think that's awesome.
thank you.
And so kudos to you for doing that.
Thank you. Love
So
what we do for sure.
do you want to give a website, or do you want to give a phone number that people can get a hold of you if
Sure,
they're
it's-
wanting to get some tattoos removed?
It's inkextract.com. So INKXTRACT.com. And both the sites link to each other.
Okay.
So if
That
you're
was going to be
someone
my
that,
next question.
yes, Soul Survivor Inc. INC, .com. They both link.
And a phone number? Do you have fun? The new age?
Right.
No, you
yes,
would rather just leave it at the
yes,
website?
Yes, let's leave it at the
What
website.
about on social media?
Social media? We have Facebook pages. We have Instagram. Oh, Nick's getting it.
So now on social media, do you post before and after pictures?
Not of survivors, but yes, of regular clients that
Right,
signed the
yeah.
paperwork. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I can completely get
Yeah.
that the survivors want to stay away from that.
She
So.
has at your office. She has a really cool survivors tree with the handprints of all
Oh,
these
that's
survivors that have come by, and it's grown.
It is. It's called my Freedom Tree. When we started it just 3 years ago, it was branches with maybe a handprint or two, and it's full of leaves. So when I look at that, part of me is sad that, oh my gosh, so many of these people we've had to help. But another part of it is like, we are so grateful we're able to be able to help so many people. So,
And Nick, I know you're a tattoo artist.
Mhm.
What is your business? In case somebody does want a tattoo.
What do you mean? What is my business?
Do you have a business? Do you have your own
Oh
business
yeah,
for tattooing?
yeah. It's
Do you want to promote it right now? or not?
Sure, yeah. I was like, what? Yeah, it's spokenarttattoos.com. So, SPOKEN art plural and then tattoos.plural.com.
And then your ministry? Do you still do that?
Yeah, well, I turned that into an LLC. So,
Okay.
but if you're looking to see like poetry or anything like that, you can go to Nick Duron on YouTube and look at some of the stuff that we were doing before.
We need a lot
amazing
more
stuff.
people like you too in this world. So thank you for coming in and talking to us
Thank you
today,
for
and thank you
having
for
us.
what you're doing. And
We're excited
I
to
look
get
forward
you
to
in
the
our
partnership.
facility.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're super
Let's do
excited.
it.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
This
So
will be great.
we've had Gina and Nick here today from Extract and Soul Survivor Inc. thank you for coming in. And if you're needing tattoo removal or anything else, please contact them, and look forward to seeing what you do. All right, thank you.